I never thought my own mother would turn my triumph into ashes, literally. She snatched the rolled diploma from the dean's hand before I could even touch it, flicked open her silver lighter like it was a goddamn executive decision, and set the damn thing ablaze right there on the auditorium stage, the flames licking up the paper as 400 shocked faces watched in stunned silence. Nurses aren't heroes, Melanie. She hissed loud enough for the microphones to catch it, her voice echoing through the speakers like a viral takedown. They're just glorified maids with fancy diplomas, cleaning up after the real doctors while the world pretends it's noble. That moment didn't just burn my degree. It incinerated the last thread of loyalty I had left for the woman who'd raised me, or more accurately, who'd molded me into her perfect little shadow. Growing up in the sprawl of suburban Atlanta, Georgia, where the air hung heavy with the scent of magnolias and unspoken resentments, I learned early that family wasn't about blood, it was about leverage. My mother, Evelyn Hargrove, was the queen of that game. She wasn't some soccer mom type baking casseroles for PTA meetings. No, Evelyn was a corporate shark, climbing the ranks at a Fortune 500 pharma giant in downtown Atlanta, the kind of place where deals were sealed over steak dinners and betrayals over email. She wore power suits like armor, her blonde bob always razor sharp, and her smile? That was her weapon, sweet as sweet tea until it sliced you open. I was her only daughter, Melanie Hargrove, the good girl who was supposed to follow her blueprint. Straight A's, Vanderbilt undergrad in business, then a cushy MBA track to land me in a corner office by 30. But life, that sneaky bastard, had other plans. When I was 16, my grandmother, Evelyn's own mother, wasted away from pancreatic cancer in an understaffed hospice ward. I watched the nurses there, overworked angels in scrubs stained with regret, holding her hand when the morphine wore off too soon. Grandma whispered to me one night, her voice a rasp against the beeping monitors, "Don't chase money, Mel. Chase mercy." Those words burrowed into me like kudzu, choking out Evelyn's ambitions. By my junior year at Georgia State, I'd switched majors to nursing. Evelyn found out over Christmas break when she rifled through my backpack, classic her, and saw the course catalog. The explosion was biblical. "You're throwing away your future for bedpans and blood pressure cuffs," she screamed in our McMansion's kitchen, her wine glass shattering against the marble island. I didn't claw my way out of that trailer park in Macon so you could play Florence Nightingale to ingrates. I stood there, heart pounding like a bass drum at a tailgate, and fired back for the first time. "Maybe I don't want your future, Mom. Maybe I want one that doesn't make me hate the mirror." She didn't speak to me for 6 months. Not a text, not a call. But money? That kept flowing. Tuition checks cleared like clockwork, her silent apology wrapped in crisp dollar bills. I told myself it was guilt, or maybe pride she couldn't admit to losing. Looking back, it was neither. It was control. Evelyn Hargrove didn't lose. She regrouped. Fast forward 3 years, and there I was, 24, striding across the stage at Emory's nursing school graduation in my rented cap and gown, the tassel swaying like a promise. The auditorium buzzed with proud families, moms snapping selfies, dads hollering names like they were at a Falcons game. I'd aced my NCLEX on the first try, lined up clinicals at Grady Memorial, visions of ER shifts dancing in my head. Evelyn showed up late, slipping into the third row in a tailored black dress that screamed funeral chic, her eyes hidden behind oversized sunglasses. I spotted her as I queued up, and for a split second, I thought maybe she'd thought. Maybe she'd clap. The dean called my name. Melanie Hargrove, Bachelor of Science in Nursing. Applause rippled. My roommate Jess hooped from the bleachers. But as I ascended the steps, Evelyn was already moving. She must have charmed her way backstage earlier, flashed that corporate ID like it was a backstage pass. Before the dean could hand me the tube, she was there, intercepting it with a manicured hand. "Mom," I whispered, confusion knotting my gut. The lighter clicked. Flame whooshed. The diploma curled black at the edges, acrid smoke curling up like a middle finger to my dreams. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone's phone dinged, video rolling. Evelyn didn't flinch. She held it high, letting the fire eat the paper until only ash fluttered to the stage like dirty snow. "This isn't a degree, Melanie," she announced, her voice steady as a boardroom pitch, amplified by the hot mic she'd somehow activated. "This is a sentence. Nurses aren't saviors. They're maids with diplomas, wiping asses and fetching pills while the real power stays out of reach. I won't watch my daughter slave for scraps. The auditorium erupted, murmurs turning to shouts. A few nurses in the audience stood, faces twisted in outrage. "What the hell kind of mother?" one yelled. My dean, a no-nonsense black woman named Dr. Patel, lunged forward, but Evelyn was already descending, ashes trailing her heels. I stood frozen, the weight of 400 stairs pinning me like a specimen slide. Humiliation burned hotter than that flame. Jess rushed the stage, wrapping me in a hug that smelled like cheap perfume and solidarity, but it was too late. My moment, my mercy, was ash. That night, Viral didn't begin to cover it. Mom Burns' Diploma trended on X by midnight, memes exploding like fireworks. Evelyn photoshopped as a witch at a stake, captions quipping, "When boomer privilege meets millennial dreams." CNN picked it up by dawn. Mother torches daughter's nursing diploma in shocking protest. And suddenly, I was the face of every overachieving kid with a toxic parent. Reporters camped outside my crappy midtown apartment, mics thrust like spears. Evelyn. She ghosted. No calls, no texts. Just a single email at 3 a.m. "You'll thank me someday. Call when you're ready for real success." I didn't call. I seethed. And in the quiet hours, nursing a bottle of cheap Merlot on my fire escape, overlooking the neon haze of Peachtree Street, the fracture widened into a chasm. Because that wasn't just about the degree. It was the culmination of a lifetime of her rewriting my script. But as the anger simmered, so did the questions. Why now? Why so public? And why did her eyes, in that split second before the flame, look not just furious, but terrified? It took a week of dodging paparazzi and crashing on Jess's couch before I pieced it together. Not from Evelyn, of course. From the attic in our family home, the one she'd forbidden me from touching since Dad split when I was 10. I'd driven out to Roswell under cover of night, using the spare key hidden under the fake rock. Ironic, right? The house was dark, Evelyn at some conference in Chicago, her Mercedes absent from the driveway. Up the pull-down stairs, dust motes dancing in my phone's flashlight beam. I found the boxes labeled Evelyn, do not open. Inside, not just old yearbooks and tax returns, but files. Thick manila folders yellowed with age, stamped, confidential, PharmaCorp internal. The first one gutted me. A 1998 incident report from her early days as a pharma rep. Evelyn hadn't always been a suit. She'd started in sales, pushing opioids to docs in rural Georgia clinics. But this? It detailed a distribution error. Thousands of OxyContin pills shipped to an underfunded hospital in Albany, where a surgeon, high on his own supply, botched a routine appendectomy on a 16-year-old boy. The kid, Tommy Ellis, bled out on the table. Cover-up followed. PharmaCorp paid hush money. The surgeon got a slap on the wrist, and Evelyn? She got promoted for handling the crisis discreetly. But here's the knife twist. Tommy Ellis wasn't just any kid. He was the son of Evelyn's high school sweetheart, the one she'd left in that Macon trailer park for college and better things. Guilt? Sure. But the file had annotations in her handwriting. Blame shift to nursing staff. Inadequate monitoring post-op. She'd pinned it on the nurses. The overworked RNs who couldn't chart fast enough, who mopped up the surgeon's mess without a whisper. One of them, a woman named Carla Ruiz, took the fall, lost her license, her career, spiraled into depression, and overdosed 6 months later. I sat there on the attic floorboards, knees to chest, the weight of it crushing. Evelyn hadn't just betrayed me on that stage. She'd been betraying Mercy my whole life. And me? I'd idolized her, defended her to Dad's ghost stories, even when she badmouthed nursing as women's work. But now, staring at that faded photo of Carla, smiling in her scrubs, eyes bright with purpose, I saw it. The secret she'd buried under boardroom battles and country club brunches. The crime she'd outsourced to the very women I wanted to join. By dawn, as the first roosters crowed from the neighbor's coop, resolve hardened in my veins like forsaline. This wasn't just about a burned diploma anymore. It was about reckoning. Evelyn had made me her proxy, her good girl shield for a past rotten with regret. She'd gambled my future to bury her sins. And payback? It would be surgical, precise, untraceable, and so goddamn public she'd choke on the smoke. The plan crystallized over stale coffee in a Waffle House off I-85, the kind of place where truckers nursed hangovers and waitresses called you Han, without meaning it. Jess slid into the booth across from me, her scrubs rumpled from a night shift at Children's Healthcare. "Mel, you're scaring me," she said, stirring sweet and low into her mug like it was a potion. "That look in your eye? It's not grief. It's war." She wasn't wrong. Grief was for the diploma, the dream she'd torched. War was for the woman who'd lit the match. I laid it out for Jess. The attic files, Carla Ruiz, the ripple of Evelyn's error that drowned a family in opioids and overdoses. Tommy Ellis's parents had sued, settled out of court, but the town still whispered. And the nurses? Collateral. She didn't just burn my degree, I told Jess, voice low under the sizzle of hash browns. She burned them first. Made me think it was noble to chase her ladder, when all along she was kicking everyone else off. Jess's eyes widened, but she nodded, slow, like she was seeing the fractures in my foundation. "So what's the play? You gonna sue her? Go Oprah with it." I shook my head. Lawsuits were Evelyn's game, clean, corporate, with NDAs to gag the truth. No, this needed dirtier. American as apple pie and pitchforks, social crucifixion. "I'm gonna exhume her ghosts," I said. One tweet, one leak at a time. Make her feel the burn. It started small, surgical strikes in the digital swamp. I created an anonymous X account, at Ashes to Empathy, bio, daughter of a diploma burner. Uncovering the real cost of success. First post. A blurred scan of the incident report, redacted just enough to dodge libel. Captioned, "When Big Pharma's error kills a kid, who takes the blame? Not the execs. The nurses who clean up the mess. Mom burns diploma, opioid ghosts." I geotagged Albany, Georgia, and watched the retweets ignite like dry tinder. By lunch, it had 5K impressions. By dinner, local news in Macon was sniffing around. Evelyn's response was predictable, radio silence at first, then the charm offensive. A bouquet of lilies arrived at my door, funeral flowers, how poetic, with a card. "We need to talk, darling." "Dinner at the Colonnade?" My treat. I ignored it, but she escalated. Voicemails, laced with that southern velvet. "Melanie, this tantrum has to stop. You're hurting us both." Us. Like she hadn't soloed this circus. Meanwhile, the unraveling gained momentum. I dug deeper, nights blurring into bleary-eyed marathons on my laptop, fueled by vending machine Red Bull. Public records painted a fuller picture. PharmaCorp's settlement with the Elises included a gag clause, but Tommy's aunt had blogged anonymously years ago, piecing together the surgeon's addiction, fueled by samples Evelyn herself had pushed. And Carla? Her obit was a gut punch. Devoted mother, RN, gone too soon. Suicide note leaked in a FOIA request I'd filed pro bono through a med school buddy. They said it was my fault, but I saw the pills. God forgive the hands that poured them. Each revelation was a thread I pulled, watching Evelyn's empire fray. At Ashes to Empathy dropped bombshells weekly. Threads linking her promotion timeline to the cover-up, infographics on opioid deaths in Georgia clinics she targeted, even a deep-dive podcast episode one scripted and Jess voiced, uploaded to Spotify under a pseudonym. Listeners spiked, 10K in week 1, and the backlash hit Evelyn like a freight train. Her LinkedIn flooded with concerned comments. "Heard about the Albany incident. Care to clarify?" PharmaCorp's stock dipped 2% on a bad news day. Whispers of internal audits slithering through Glassdoor reviews. She cracked on week 3. Showed up at my apartment unannounced, 10 p.m. on a Tuesday. Rain slicking her trench coat like tears she wouldn't shed. I buzzed her up, curiosity, or maybe masochism, and she breezed in, dripping on my thrift store rug, eyes scanning the chaos like a crime scene. "This ends now, Melanie," she said, no preamble, thrusting a folder at me. Her own dossier, thick with cease and desist letters from lawyers. "You're slandering me, ruining everything I've built." I laughed, bitter as black coffee. "Built on what, Mom? Carla's grave? Tommy's blood?" I flung the folder back, pages scattering like confetti at a funeral. "You pinned your fuck up on nurses, the ones I swore to join. And when I did anyway, you burned it all. Why? Afraid I'd find this." Her face, that mask of poise, slipped. For a heartbeat, she looked small, the trailer park girl peeking through. "You think it was easy?" she whispered, sinking onto my sagging couch. "Tommy, he was mine, Mel. That summer in Macon, before your father. I loved his dad, but I chose ambition. When the pills went wrong, I had to choose again. Protect the company or drown in it. Tears welled, but she blinked them back. Evelyn Hargrove didn't cry. She calculated. The nurses? They were expendable. Like me. Back then. I gave you better. This path. Nursing, it's a trap. Low pay, burnout, no power. I burned that diploma to save you from it. Save me. I exploded, pacing the tiny living room, the walls closing in like an ICU bay. You humiliated me. Made me a punchline. And for what? To keep your secrets buried. I grabbed my phone, thumb hovering over X. One post, Mom. That's all it takes. The world knows now. She stood, regal even in defeat, and fixed me with that gaze. Part plea, part predator. Post it. Leak it all. But know this, I did it for you. Every lie, every ladder wrong. And if you destroy me, you destroy us. Then, the twist of the knife. Your father left because he found out about Albany. Couldn't look at me. Don't make his mistake. She left me there, door clicking shut like a verdict. I didn't post. Not that night. But sleep? It fled, chased by visions of Carla's smile, Tommy's empty chair at prom. Evelyn's confession hung heavy. Love, loss, the American dream's dark underbelly. Was she monster or mirror? The line blurred, and in that gray, my revenge sharpened. Not just exposure. Dismantling. Week 4, I went nuclear. Partnered with a whistleblower site, redacted the full file dump. Emails, depositions, Evelyn's signed affidavit scapegoating the nursing staff. Dropped it on a Friday, timed for weekend outrage. Hashtags exploded. PharmaMom burned the cover up. Protests brewed outside PharmaCorp's tower. Nurses in scrubs, signs reading, Maids with mercy, not chains. Evelyn's face hit every feed. Her graduation stunt reframed as projection. The woman who torched lives now torching legacies. She fought back, of course. Memos to staff blaming disgruntled ex-employees. A tearful Fox interview where she played the victim. My daughter's hurting, lashing out. But nursing broke our family. Ask any ER widow. Liar. But slick. Her stock rebounded. Sympathy shares pouring in from the blue-check crowd. Moms know best. Back Evelyn. It polarized everyone. My feed's a battlefield. Half hailed me a hero. The other half branded me an ungrateful brat. Jess warned me over takeout Thai. You're playing with fire, Mel. She'll flip it. Make you the villain. I waved her off, but doubt gnawed. Late nights, I'd scroll old photos. Evelyn at my 8th grade science fair, beaming, her hand on my shoulder at Dad's funeral. Was revenge mercy, or just another bedpan to empty? The call came at midnight, week 5. Unknown number, but her voice shattered glass. Melanie, it's bad. Board wants my head. Help me. Sobs, real ones. I need you. Please. I hung up, heart hammering. The unraveling was mine now. But as the city lights flickered below my window, I wondered, who was I saving? Or avenging? The boardroom at PharmaCorp's headquarters gleamed like a sterile or glass walls overlooking Atlanta's skyline. Polished mahogany table long enough to host a Last Supper for executives. I walked in uninvited, badge swiped by a nervous intern who'd seen my ex handle and connected dots. Evelyn was there, mid-pitch to a room of gray suits, her voice a frayed wire. An internal audit shows no wrongdoing. This is a smear campaign by activists. She spotted me in the doorway, color draining like a botched transfusion. Melanie, what the hell? The suits turned, murmurs rippling. I didn't flinch. Months of leaks had armored me. In my hand, a USB drive, matte black as judgment. Afternoon, gentlemen. And Mom. Thought I'd drop by with the full chart. I slotted it into the conference room's AV system, the screen flickering to life with unredacted glory. Evelyn's emails pushed the narrative to nursing oversight, grainy deposition footage of her stonewalling investigators, even an audio clip I'd unearthed from Carla's inquest, her voice trembling. The reps knew. They flooded us with samples. It wasn't our fault. Chaos erupted. Phones buzzed. PR nightmare incoming. One exec, a balding weasel with a Rolex, slammed his fist. This is extortion. Evelyn lunged for the remote, but I blocked her, our eyes locking in a standoff that echoed every dinner table argument we'd never had. It's truth, I said, quiet enough to cut. The kind you buried under promotions and power plays. She grabbed my arm, nails digging like 4 needles. Stop this. Now. You're my daughter. Am I? The words escaped before I could cage them, raw as an open wound. Or just your alibi? The good girl who chased business until she didn't, forcing your hand. The room watched, rapt. This wasn't boardroom drama. It was Greek tragedy, Southern fried. She released me, deflating. You want the end of me? Fine. But it ends you too. Then, the lurch, her voice dropping to a venomous whisper only I could hear. That switch to nursing? I knew about the files. Hinted you'd find them if you dug. Pushed you toward business to keep you clean. When you flipped, I had to. Contain it. The burn? It was mercy. Wake-up call. Controversy crackled. Had she orchestrated my rebellion? Planted seeds to test loyalty? The execs shifted, eyes darting. Was this whistleblower a plant? Evelyn straightened, reclaiming the room with that shark smile. Ladies and gentlemen, my daughter's passionate. Misguided, but passionate. She's uncovered old wounds. Yes, I was involved in Albany. A tragedy. But PharmaCorp learned, reformed. As for the diploma, a mother's tough love. Let's not let family vendettas tank a 50-year legacy. It was masterful, lateral arabesque, flipping the script. Sympathy tilted, nods from the old guard, a few hears. My USB? Suddenly amateur hour. I yanked it free, storming out as her voice chased. Melanie, wait. We can fix this together. Outside, rain lashed the streets, taillights blurring into red streaks on Peachtree. I hailed a cab to Grady, where my first shift started at dusk. Provisional license, courtesy of the dean's emergency vouch after the scandal. Scrubs felt like rebirth, stethoscope heavy with purpose. But as I clocked in, phone vibrating with notifications, the twist hit like code blue. X was ablaze, not with outrage at Evelyn, but at me. Threads dissected her confession. Wait, did Mom burn the diploma to save her from Big Pharma secrets? Plot twist. Memes flipped. Me as the villainous daughter, ungrateful snake emoji coiled around a stethoscope. Pundits on cable weighed in. Is whistleblowing betrayal when it's family? Splitting viewers down aisles. Feminists cheering my grit. Conservatives decrying kid versus mom as moral decay. PharmaCorp issued a statement. Evelyn Hargrove takes a leave to focus on family reconciliation. We stand with her. She turned it. My revenge, once ablaze, now backdraft, consuming the wrong house. Jess texted from ER Triage, you okay? Your mom's trending as Mom of the Year. WTF? I didn't answer. Not till shift's end, when I found her waiting in the hospital lobby. Evelyn, in a cashmere sweater that screamed contrition, holding 2 styrofoam coffees. Truce, she said, extending one. No fight in her eyes, just fatigue. You won the battle, Mel. But the war? It's us against the world. Or it could be. I took the coffee, steam curling between us like fragile peace. What now? I asked, voice cracking. The lobby hummed, patients shuffling, monitors beeping, a reminder that mercy wasn't black and white. She sipped, eyes on a harried nurse rushing past. Now? You nurse. I retire, early, quietly. Donate to opioid funds in Carla's name. And we talk. Really talk. No more ghosts. It sounded like absolution. Or surrender. We walked out into the drizzle, arms brushing, tentative, like charting vital signs post-trauma. But as taxis splashed by, a final ping on my phone. Anonymous DM from at Tommy Ellis and, heard your story. Evelyn's not the only one who hid. Your dad? He didn't leave because of shame. He left with proof, stole files to expose her. She framed him for embezzlement. Check the safety deposit box in his name. Keys in your old dollhouse. The cab door slammed. Evelyn glanced over, innocent. Everything all right? I nodded, pocketing the phone. The twist coiled deeper. Not just her sins, but mine inherited. Dad's ghost, beckoning from beyond. Was this happy? A fragile truce, me and Scrubs, her sidelined? Or tragedy, the cycle unbroken, revenge birthing new secrets? As Atlanta's light smeared past, I leaned back, coffee bitter on my tongue. Mercy, Grandma had said. But whose? The reckoning wasn't over, it was just beginning. And in America's endless gray, no one's hands stayed clean.